Hello, if anybody can hear me, then I can see that there is a few comments. I'm sorry I'm a little late. Uh-oh, it looks like I'm upside down. Oh no. Alright, hold on just a moment. I'm using a different stand than I usually have used. Bear with me for just a moment. I'm going to try to get this all worked out. Okay, there. Now it flipped around. How's that? Are we still doing okay? Good to go, Diana? Awesome. I'm hoping this works this time. Okay. Sorry for the delay, everyone. And I apologize for a kind of a rumbling sound in the background. That's my air conditioner. And I'm not able to turn it off and survive because it's really hot and I have a lot of lights on here. So if you guys will forgive me, I'm going to have my air conditioner running during our time today. I'm glad you could make it over, Diana. Yay! Hi, Kathy. Yeah, I've got the stamp set kind of sitting off a little bit. Hi, Carrie. I'm from Texas too. I'm from the Houston area. I live in New Jersey because that's where my husband's work takes us. So we're hoping one day to get back to Texas. Hi, Cherie. Glad you could make it. So I'm going to be making this card today, and I think that we should just jump right into it. This is, hi Faith, good to have you here. This is, hi Kathy, hot and humid, huh? Oh my goodness. Hi Melinda. Oh good, I usually go, it's good to have you here. I usually go live on YouTube once a month, but I'm hoping to have more than one per month, if my schedule will allow me. Right now in the summertime, I have my my two children are here when they're not in school. They're in a summer session right now for part days. So yeah, I see Carrie. It's hot. I still have family back in Texas, and it's nasty hot. Very hot. So I'm going to be creating this card today. And this was probably one of the most unexpected happy cards that people have been able to see. That was kind of, it threw me off. I didn't think it was going to be as popular as it is, but it was. This was my #1 featured blog post. It like knocked everything else out. So that's a very big surprise to me, but I'm really glad that everyone likes to have this repurposing. And if you guys follow my channel, then you'll see that I do like to stretch the craft supplies out and be able to use one stamp set for a different purpose. So as you can see, this is the little balloon. It's an odd balloon, but it's still a balloon. So the first thing that I want to point out is that you see the stamp set is mounted on reverse. So it is the side that has the intentional stamp, or the lines, is what's sticking down to the block. And because this is photopolymer, we can get this effect, and we cannot do that with red rubber. Red rubber has two different surfaces, and photopolymer has the same surface on both sides. so it will stick to the acrylic block. So how does this impact what we can do with our stamping? Well, it allows the same general shape to be stamped down first, which is how I got the loosely fitting outline fruits. So I could stamp that down, and then I could take this off, clean it up, put the stamp back onto the block, and then stamp the lines right over where I wanted to have them. And I've done this not just with this stamp, but with this stamp too that has the little lines. Now this one doesn't stay as nicely onto the stamp block as the other one does, because this stamp here has much more, I guess you want to call it, sticking surface. And this has tiny little dots, and there's not as much of a photopolymer surface for it to stick to. So how I've been able to get over that is just push it down really good and make sure that it's nice and clean, and kind of like just don't disturb the sleeping giant too much. I try to be very gentle when I'm using it, so you can see that it is sticking here. But if I were to push it and give it a little nudge with my finger, then this little guy is going to jump ship. So let's see what we can get out of them. I have my computer over to the side, so I am able to read comments if anyone has a question or a comment. I'm going to start plowing in and see if we can't completely make this card from start to finish. On many of my videos, I have it sped up to where you don't have to see a lot of the, I call it the grueling, some of the grueling parts of making a card. So we're going to do all of the grueling parts today. So I'm going to start out by choosing, this is my card panel, and it's Whisper White regular, and I have a piece of lemon lime twist that is going to be a layer. And then here is my card base. The card base is 4 1/4 by 11, and I score it right in the middle at 5 1/2. And this is made from Pear Pizzazz. Pear Pizzazz and lemon lime twist seem to really complement each other, and they both look kind of fruity. So I thought it would be a nice addition. And knowing that I was going to add some of these fruity colors, then that led me to choosing what I was going to have for my card base and my layer. So let's get started on stamping. I want to stamp things on an angle. So if you choose an angle, one of the hardest things that I've been told is to be able to maintain the angle. So my suggestion is to use your grid paper to your best advantage. Use the point, and then try the other point here. And if you, as long as you keep your eyes on where those points are, you could tape them down with some washi if you like. But as long as you keep the paper lined up on those points that go right down that line, then you're going to be able to know where your up and down vertical line is. So if you guys have any questions, make sure that you type them out, and I will definitely look over and make sure that I answer. So I'm going to start with the green, and I've got the lemon lime twist ink, and I have a piece of regular Whisper White on the side to stamp off on. Normally it would just be my grid paper that I stamp off on. However, I'm going to be using the things that I stamp off to go for more fruit on the front. So this is a nice intense yellow that I made for the honeydew melon, and the way that I got that is by, when I stamped off, I stamped it in the same spot, and that gave me a really high saturation of the paper with the ink. And that's just kind of a little nice side effect. So I'm going to start with this, and what would you guys call this? Like just a wheel look. So I'll start here by loading it up, and I have a good amount of ink. Going to stamp it off, and that ink pad is really juicy. Okay, and I'm lining up my points, and the first stamp is going to be off of the paper and on the paper. That's going to give me a little more look of depth. And I want to stamp off because when I go and add the lines, see how that gets even darker? But when I go and add these lines, then I'm going to be able to see them all the better. See, now this is reversed, and it is definitely staying onto the block. I'm going to do that again. So when I put it down, it kind of starts slippery sliding. I can see a little bit of the lines, and the color will even out a little bit. And I can get one more of these over here. Okay, so that's going to be green fruit that goes in this middle column. And while I have this out on the block, I'm going to stamp some yellow fruits with a green rind on the outside. So you guys can probably guess that I'm going to do the rock and roll. Hi Vaughn, how are you? Hi WMD from Maine. I'm glad you guys could join us today. We are jumped right in to get a card made with summer fruits. So this is going to be another place where I stamp off in the same spot, and that's a nice intense color of ink. And once I get that ink off, I'm going to take the stamp and I'm roll it around to just pick up green on the edges. And I want to remember my vertical line with the paper points. And when I put it down, it has yellow with some green around the edge. Hi Wendy, I'm sorry I didn't get your name. So once we have this ink down, it doesn't have to be perfect because this style of stamping is very forgiving. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's going to be definitely more of a artsy look. Now, if you haven't done the rock and roll technique before, then it's really important to not run all the ink up on your block, but instead to rock and roll the stamp. Kind of roll it around. Make sure you don't have anything extra on your block, and then stamp it down. So you can see that there's a two-tone effect. Bring it up this way, and it gives something different. Hi Kayla, you must be up really late. I can't believe you're up. Kayla is in Australia, so she really needs to get to bed. But I'm glad you're here, Kayla. Okay, so now I'm going to do, since I've got a little bit of the two-tone effect here, I'm going to do something that's just yellow on the other side. So I'll get all of this off. It should come off just by tapping your stamp down, and I'll go for just yellow. Now I'm going to go over here and stamp on that same spot, and can you see how intense it's looking? I think I've just about got the right saturation there. We're going to be using this for another fruit that we'll fussy cut. Okay, so I'm going to come over this direction. It's 3 o'clock in the morning there, Kayla. Oh my. The one thing to remember is that our stamp is turned upside down. For those of you that have just joined, I'll turn this a little bit on the angle so you can see that the part that has the stamp image is actually clinging to the block, and we're using the back of the stamp to do our stamping. So I'm going to stamp off in a different place this time. And I'm going to bring another yellow. And I'll do it one more time again, just to continue the look down. So now I can turn my paper around the right way because I'm not going to be making any more images on the angle. So I'm going to clean this little stamp up, and then we're going to get him loaded up. That's the one thing I did not bring over, was my Stampin' scrub. Who loves the Stampin' scrub? Are you guys loving how well it works? Okay, so here's the magic moment when we peel off this stamp and we turn it around, keeping in mind that it was just wet, and make sure that we get that nice clean. Well, if you've never done it before, Kayla, I'm sure you can have some wonderful results. Okay, so I'm going to go back this direction again, just long enough for me to see where my lines are. And I'm going to have yellow on yellow here, so full strength this time. And it does not have to be perfect where it goes, because this is more of an artsy look. It's not going to be perfect. Okay, get all that yellow off there. And we're going to do green straight down the middle. Uh-oh. That's okay. There we go. And I'll go back to some yellow here. And that's pretty much what our big fruits are going to be. And now we're going to go and work on Peekaboo Peach with the other stamp. Now, as I was explaining earlier, the small stamp doesn't react as well as this stamp does. And that's because there's not enough, as much area that adheres. The volume of plastic that touches the block is lesser than over here. There's more plastic to stick to. So this one we're going to be gentle with because we want this little guy to stay on the block. But he doesn't want to stay on the block. This is our little, this is our kid who wants to show us that defiance. I'm sure we all have seen that before. Alright, so I've got some ink on here. I'm going to stamp it off gently so that my stamp will stay on the block. And I can put this down anywhere within the in-between rows. Now your card doesn't have to look like mine, and my two cards don't have to look the same either. The important part is that you're making something that you're going to be happy with and give to somebody that you care about. So by stamping off, some of the ink comes off, and you can see that it's given me just this really interesting, funky look, and I love that. I love that it's not planned. Here. And I think it might have to do with the fact that my ink pad is really juicy. But the orange color, or I should say the peach, is what's really making this card look interesting for me, in my opinion. Okay. So that's good enough for me. I'm going to clean this guy. Just enough. And he hasn't come off the block yet, which I'm really excited. And I'll flip it over, making sure that this little block here doesn't have anything liquid. Now he will have no trouble staying stuck to the block. Turn this just so that my brain knows where my brain is supposed to go. And there's our little tone-on-tone fruit. And again, they don't have to line up perfect. As you can see, that doesn't line up perfect and that doesn't line up perfect, but it's okay. I'm all right with it. Okay, so put you over here. So now we want to add a little bit of accents to the white or empty space. And what I'm going to use is my black or basic black Stampin' marker. And the Stampin' markers can be used not just for coloring images, but lots of other things in between. So what I'm using is the pointy end. I'm not sure what it's called. This is the brush tip and this is maybe the writing end. This is the one that I use to write notes and cards. So little areas that don't have much space, just put a dot. And other areas that need more, just kind of fill in. You don't have to put 3, you don't have to put 1. The one piece of advice I will offer is to make sure that your dots don't overlap, because that's something that your eye is going to interpret. Like this right here, it has 2 dots that are way too close to each other, but I'm pretty sure that my sentiment's going to cover that up. That should be good. All right. So for now, I'm going to take and place this on our cardstock. And if you didn't catch the colors earlier, this is Lemon Lime Twist and Pear Pizzazz. So I'll use some snail adhesive. Thanks, Kayla. I'd love to see you try this with a different stamp. Like maybe a flower stamp. Something would have to be photopolymer though, if you want to turn it over. Okay, so I can go ahead and mount this with some foam dimensions. Have you guys tried the mini dimensionals yet? They work really well. Hey Joe, I'm glad you like this one. It's so easy. Something else that I just thought of is, imagine that this is not fruit, but it's Christmas ornaments, and that you have your outline background, and then this can be made into a Christmas ornament. And you can even do like a tone-on-tone rock and roll to make it look like these are the like 1950s style glass where they're colored. It's definitely some possibilities. And then we could throw some stars in between. I think we've got stars from Star of Light. Let's see. Yes, Star of Light is a photopolymer set. So I can totally see taking this and, like for example, here's this little guy here, and you use the back to make, you know, your base color, and then clean it and flip it over and stamp down, and you could even go in gold. Oh, how about that? Hi Patricia, I'm glad you could join us. Yes, Cherie, I'll be glad to do that, and I will go back and put it all of the measurements in the video description for afterward. But my card base is 4 1/4 by 11. I have folded and scored it at 5 1/2. And that's made from Pear Pizzazz. Lemon Lime Twist is my layer, and it is 1/2 of an inch smaller. So in this direction, these are US measurements. Then I'm going down from 4 1/4 to 3 3/4. So this is 3 3/4, and this will be 5 inches, and that is for the Lemon Lime Twist. And for the panel, I came down 1/8 of an inch from this Lemon Lime Twist, and I'll list everything out for you in the video description. So now we're ready to stamp the sentiment, and then we'll start working on some more fruits. But these fruits are drying up a little bit, so there's a reason why I didn't jump right into them. Can you see how saturated that paper got? That's wonderful, because now we're going to be able to use these to our advantage. So I'm using a sentiment that is from Colorful Season Stamp Set, and I like the You Make Me Smile. And I'm going to use Smoky Slate. And I've chosen Smoky Slate because it's a neutral color, and it will not battle against any of my fresh colors. So gray is always a nice complement to some punch of colors. Thank you, Kathleen. You're welcome, Cherie. Cherie's thanking me for the measurements, and Kathy really likes the card. So I've got my Smoky Slate here, and I'm going to bring my sentiment over enough to where I'm not going to have the fruits go over it, if that makes sense. So I want to allow room on my card front for those fruits to sit here. So I've made sure my sentiment is scooched over a bit. Okay, so now I'm going to get ready to do the fruits, which is perhaps some of the most fun part. I'm going to use the chalk marker. I know it's no big surprise. You guys know I love this chalk marker, and it's a great way to put some white onto your project where you need just a little bit of highlight for something. So I'm thinking that this little guy here is more of a honeydew, kind of like a cantaloupe. So what I remember about those melons is that they have seeds that are in like a circular pattern. So I'm going to work in a circle and go right directionally across from one another so that I get them nice and even. And I can even go in between. And then there are the tiny seeds that are facing another direction that I'm going to just give little dots for. And on the outside, I'm going to make teeny tiny dots because those are the seeds that are pointing in a different direction, and I want to bring the eye out to a different area of this little individual piece of fruit. Okay, and I'm barely touching my chalk marker down to the paper. Can you guys see that? So I've got the larger seeds that are going to draw the eye over to the paper. And then I've got these little tiny, tiny flicks that are going to be where the eye lets everything disperse back out. Okay, so this is going to be the honeydew melon or cantaloupe. It's fruit. That's going to be the fruit. And I can cut this with my scissors. Then we're going to do something really fun with it. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle, but if you like having a perfect circle, then this would be a great time to use your layering circles, or if you have a punch that would be about this size. But these fruits are also going to be stacked up on top of each other, so it's not going to need to be perfect. So I'm going back in for this lemon lime twist. And I'll take this, and with it leaning more towards the colored side of the paper, I'll use it like a wheel and roll this guy right through the ink. Okay, and that's going to do two different things. It's going to cover ink on the outside of the piece of fruit so that there's no cut edge that shows. And also, if you want, you can take and add a little bit more, maybe from the edge of the ink pad. This is going to definitely give a more surface on the piece of paper. Okay, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Remember, this is just paper. So that's good enough for me. Everything will lighten up a little bit, and if you want to get a little bit lighter of not as intense a fruit, then that's when you can just go grab another paper, because we're going to be using these. So we're going to take the same stamp, but we're going to flip it back over again. Leave open the green. Go back for the yellow. But instead of stamping off, we're going to keep that ink right on the stamp this time. Okay, so we've got this guy like there. Okay. And then do that rock and roll where it's just on the edges. And you'll see that it looks even different. It's every time you do this, you get definitely a different look. And then once this ink starts drying back, then it lightens up a bit. So I'll go and back and show that this is the fruit that we're making right now. And as you can see, the color is so much more light after it's dried than when it's wet. So there's a couple of different ways to go about getting from point A to point B. And then I'll go back here with this again. Just do a whole bunch of different dots. And there you go. There's your melon. So the way that I was able to get one of the other fruits that is on my card is going to mimic this little orange peach or whatever it is. Peekaboo Peach is the color that I used. So I'm going to add those little dots that I have on the other fruits, like over here. And full strength ink, full strength. Okay. You could even cut more than one if you like. I'm going to use just one, but it certainly wouldn't hurt to have more than one. When I'm cutting, I try to keep my scissors in one place and I just move the paper. If if you guys saw the project that I shared yesterday, it was a fussy cutting party, I'll tell you. That's the one where I cased the catalog for Stampin' Dreams blog hop, and it definitely was a party on a paper. So we have 2 fruits now, and we're going to do a little bit more with this little yellow guy here. I think I'll make a new one though. So I wonder, I think I'll go with this green. Full strength again. Alright, so close it up. Cut this out, and then I can cut it in half. And that will be like a slice of lemon. Thanks, Carrie. It is very summery. It's hot here in New Jersey. That's where I live. And I tell you, we are in a heat wave. Okay, so I'm just gonna pick any spot here to go halfway. So now I have 2 wedges of whatever fruit we can pretend like this is, because it doesn't look like a real fruit to me. Okay, so now that we've got several different pieces, and we can go back and add some more accents to those if we like, then we're gonna work on building all of these up together. So it hasn't taken too long for this card from start to finish. I have some gold thread. This is the gold thread that Stampin' Up! Sells. It is fantastic. I'm going to put some more dimensionals, and they're going to be on the back here, and those dimensionals are also going to hold down my thread. So I always try to make sure that I get those dimensionals on first before I coil up this thread, because otherwise I'm struggling to hold that thread in just the right place. Now I'm gonna just do like 3 fingers and go around. Everyone has a different way they like to do it. And once I have a circle like this, that's when I kind of pull these loops around and make it spread out just a little bit more so that it will be seen behind my fruits. So I'm going to stick these pieces down to one of the dimensionals like that. Doesn't have to be perfect. We're not going for perfection here, because this is definitely not a perfect card. It's just a fun card. Okay. And I've got some thread tails here. And now we're going to add those fruits. This is actually coming together very quickly. I'm going to use some snail adhesive on this big fruit, whatever kind of fruit we've decided he's going to be. And I'm going to put it up just a little bit, because I want to stack my fruits to where they're going to come down around. So I'll add one of these pretty wedges here with another dimensional, so that it not only sits in front of, but it's raised up away from the other one. So I'll kind of go at an angle, and that leaves this little peach. If it's a peach, I'm not sure, but I'm going to put him with some snail, or you could use liquid glue, whatever works best for you, and have this one in going for a visual triangle. So you can see we've got this 1, 2, 3 points here, and believe it or not, that's as easy as this card idea is. So cute and so easy. very summery. Again, we talked about how it can be wintry. Now my thread is loose. It's on the loose. Have to put it back together. So I want to share another card that I made that's going to be on I think it's in 2 weeks. And this is for a weekly challenge that I'm a design team member of. So what I want to share with you about this, and I'll get to talking about this more in the future, is putting yourself and your own special touches on your card ideas. If you make a lot of cards, then you probably already put some of yourself into it, and otherwise, even when you copy a design, you're still changing things just enough. So what if you like to use other crafts? Well, here is a card idea that is got a little bit of hand stitching. So how I made that is I cut out a little heart from some thick Whisper White cardstock, and I used my paper piercer, and I went around and made an even number of holes, and then I sewed with a back stitch and some embroidery floss. And something just as simple as this is one way that you can put some of yourself onto one of your handmade cards. So that's just a little quick preview of what you'll see in a couple of weeks. And I did make a video for that. So here are the two different cards. This is the one that I made before, and here's the version that we've made today. And they're not identical, but they're pretty close to one another. Here's the other half of that fruit, which I would probably put on the inside. Yep, that's what I did the other time. I was going to say I'd put it on the inside of the card and show it as, you know, a continuation of the design. So this I'll save for going on the inside of the card. So I hope you guys had fun today watching and asking a few questions. If anybody has any more questions about this card or any card making in general, if you would like to leave a comment, then I'll go back and answer the comments after I discontinued the broadcast. But this is my project for today, and I'm glad you guys took the time and stuck over here, and we hung out a little bit and made the card. And next Friday I'm going to be on my Facebook channel. Oh, you do? Okay, cool, Wendy. Yeah, I'll show it to you again. I'm not supposed to show advances, but I'm going to show it to you. All these products are available for purchase right now, so it's not like they're not for sale. Actually, I used these as they were cutaways from another card, and I stuck them, kind of like stacked them up all together. And sometimes whenever we are stacking things up, then a visual design starts forming, and that's how I came up with that idea. Thank you, Cherie. I'm so glad that you took the time to spend with me today. I'm glad that you were able to see this card being made. And if you guys want to tag me on social media, on Facebook, then my personal Facebook is Jenny Hall, and my business Facebook page is Jenny Hall Independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. So you can search for me and find me. My email address is jennystampsup@gmail.com, and I would love to see your version of this card if you guys make anything. Oh, good. I'm glad you were able to stick, Kathy. I'm glad you were able to come out today and watch the video and spend the time today. And you're very welcome. I will do more YouTube lives in the future. Right now I'm just doing once a month, but I will try to work it into my schedule to where I do them more often. And it's nice that YouTube allows notifications to let you guys know whenever I'm live. But if you follow my my Facebook business page, then there's an event, and there's always a reminder that comes on for there. So I'm going to sign off, guys. Thank you guys so much for your time today. And again, if you have any comments or questions, just leave them in the comments of this live video and I'll get right back to you. So thank you again, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.